When I'm scrolling on there for an hour, that is an hour that I did not spend with this magnificent soul right here. I think loving that, right? When I have FOMO, I love up on my FOMO. I'm like, oh, you feel like we should have been there. We should have been at that thing or that party, or we should have gotten that part or whatever. I get that. When's the first time we ever remember feeling like we didn't get our needs met, or like we weren't seen, or we weren't taken care of? Usually the answer is 3, 5,
right.
And then I tend to that little one inside. I had a manager who pretty much outright said, don't get too dark, and ended up writing my own stuff. I was like, I can't wait for people to cast me or decide that I'm too dark or I'm too curly. I'm gonna make my own work. I'm gonna play anybody I want. I'm gonna play a Jewish bubby if I want to. Nobody else is gonna cast me, but I can cast myself. For me, there's no separating where America is right now and where we all are as individuals and as family units. My love needs were not met. I'm suffering from a love deficit as a child. That's not my parents' fault. They had a love deficit. America gives you a love deficit. You get, with your birth certificate or your social security card, you get that love deficit of this place that says to you, this is the American dream. Anyone can have it. Bullshit.
I mean, I had this ping after the last time I spoke to you about I could just be doing this virtually with anyone that I want to.
Doesn't it feel delicious?
It's unbelievable. Like when we had the last conversation, I got off and I was like, I wish that was recorded.
I know. We'll just reenact it, Elisa. But
well, that's because the beauty is like, it's in that moment when you're just really connecting, like as you were starting to say.
You're so right. And my tendency, like I'm doing this podcast, America Who Hurt You. I've just been figuring out what, feels like the conversation. People are in their car listening to us, right? Or people are on the subway listening. I want to be, if it's cold on the train, I want to be their fuzzy sweater. If it's, lonely in their car, I want them to feel like they just saw a friend who's like, hey, can you drop me off? And they end up in this beautiful conversation that they weren't expecting. Like, how can we help people feel more grounded into some joy, some friendship, some connection? I forget that like sometimes that's in the that's in the BTS moments where you're like, I'm trying to get the lipstick off my teeth earlier.
Yeah, those are the best moments. That's what I always find. When you talk about people and wanting to reach them and wanting to make them feel good, it's just having an open heart.
Yes, that's it.
For me, for my own healing, I've gotten to a place where it's just like, keep your heart open.
Yes.
No fear. Keep your heart open. Like
yes.
It's just...
And I just want to say, and this is not to negate anything you're saying. Sometimes the heartbreaks have been so many and so, kind of fast paced. We don't even realize our heart's getting broken over and over again all day. I grew up in New York or living here in LA, passing an unhoused person. That is a heartbreak for me. And yet your day is just supposed to keep continuing as though everything's fine, right? But for those of us who are sensitive, and I know you are, we've talked about this, it's almost like I'm going to keep my heart open and I'm going to trust that if she needs to contract a little bit, can I hold that with openness? Can I open to her need to close or contract? There's actually this great video of a dahlia that I wish now I'm like, can we insert that visual? That shows the way a dahlia becomes so beautiful is each time it expands, it also has this contraction period. And it's because of the contraction that it can keep up this pace of expansion. So,
and that's like giving birth. It's the same as giving.
You know better than me, lady.
Well, which is what we're always doing.
Well, that's true. I was going to say, I give birth to my characters. I give birth to my ideas and my shows. But I recently had a birthday and it was like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel like, oh my God, I have to, I had a low key, like my birthday was like.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you. It was all chill. And it was like, oh, this is because I have a rebirth day every day. I really do.
Exactly.
And so I don't need my birthday to be like a peak experience. Like I'm alive and feeling shit every day. It's just, we signed up for this full contact living, Elisa.
I feel exactly the same way. I mean, like my whole entire life is just working on myself. It's just, my whole entire existence, and now I've made it my work, is just healing myself.
Yes. Can we put it on our taxes? That's what I want to ask. Can I put healing my goddamn self from, by the way, everything that this society heaps on it? We were born healed.
Right.
It's so funny. I know Sonia Renee Taylor was a guest, and she's the guest on my last podcast. She's there's nobody better to close the year out with, right? And we were talking about kind of that love, like, and it sounds so corny. Like, I want to say, yes, with this political climate, with all of it, it's so both and. It's never been so, horrors, like truly horrific, right? And yet, our capacity to love has to expand with these folks who are confused and disconnected from their love too. Sonia put it this beautiful way that what we're seeing is the distance between them and love. Whatever they've put between themselves, in Elon Musk's case, a rocket ship, whatever these mofos are doing, they are distancing themselves so far from the love of who they actually are that they can commit horrible acts. But I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I am excited for the next 4 years. I am excited to see what we do with our energetic, spiritual backs supposedly pushed up against this White House wall.
I completely agree. Well, first of all, nothing is outside of love because it's the universe.
Correct.
And so it's not corny.
Right. No, it's not corny.
Like, I think this idea, I get why you say it, but I think
I live in Hollywood, so you have to like preface everything with, it's like you feel like you're talking to people who are cynical because this capitalist machine, it does harden you. It turns you into a version of yourself that's like up-armored. I try to remember the context. There are some folks, and I've been them. I have been that woman who has, without realizing it, I don't think I was conscious of it, but the messaging of like, stay on your grind, don't, sarcasm is it was like, yeah, whatever, bitch, like that kind of energy as like my armor, my defense. I didn't realize how defended I had to be because I was so wounded. I just thought I was, a boss bitch, and you know what I mean? I thought I was like, oh, I'm not that.
Yeah.
I was too cool for school. My lack of access to my own pain was easier to deal with a cool veneer. And I was cool. I looked cool. I had all the cool accoutrements. And so I learned to be like, oh, what? Like, okay, you're going to put your hand on your heart? Okay. I was that kind of person. And I understand why, until I got cracked open and it was like, you can't cool your way through this. There's no amount of like, the way I like to put it is I was living as a self-image and not my true self. And once the image failed me, right? Because there's not enough image in the world. You could be cute, but if you feel worthless inside, right, eventually cute fails. And I'm grateful that I had to drop the image enough to have that facade really crack open into vulnerability. Like, I am vulnerable all the fuck. I probably could work on it a little bit. Like, I'll be at a party and the person's like, nice to meet you. I'm like, I'm feeling super awkward. Nice to meet you too. I'm just like, hey, this is me.
I know. I know. And sometimes people are kind of like, if I'm not with people that think like me, which is most of the time, what I say kind of falls on the ground. They're kind of like, what? But I think more and more people really do understand. Just going back to what you were saying, I think this idea that love is like a corny, syrupy thing that's woo-woo.
Woo-woo, that's the word I've been looking for.
It's actually quantum physics. It's not woo-woo at all. And I've had a similar experience of being very angry, being like this warrior, like protective, and
rage.
Like, I'm gonna get this society. I'm gonna get anyone who's erased me. I'm gonna get all of you people, you pretentious people, and whatever my own story was.
Yep.
And I've just consistently been knocked down to my knees, over and over and over again. Because for some reason, I think I'm just in this lifetime supposed to get it, and
the lessons. You're a PhD student. That's what it is.
Yeah, like I have to get it. And like I really, even recently, even within this last year, have had one of the biggest versions of that cracking open.
You and me both.
Where I was really literally brought to my knees. It was literally like repeating birth. I had to fall down and pick myself back up, like literally, which is why I could never go on a roller coaster, and
You were living in one. That's the thing. When you're living in a roller coaster.
I've been living in one. Right. You can't go on one.
Thank you. I'm all full up of roller coasters. I'm already doing that. People, horror movies, don't you love? No, sweetie. There's trauma. There's plenty of horror. I don't need, I don't need extra AI blood and guts. Like there's plenty. I'm good.
And I have had the literal experience of love healing me, like just opening my heart and feeling the connection to whatever you want to call it, like the glue that sticks us together. I call it love because it's true. Like our hands have fingerprints that are unique to us and no one else has this fingerprint. Like that's not an accident, or what you were saying, like all the ebbs and the flows and everything that you do need to contract and expand. All these laws, like what is this intelligence going right to the point of this moment and facing the next 4 years and like, why are we here? Like we're here and we can either hate this, continue the violence, continue the blaming, continue negative behavior and cycles
against ourselves and others, right? It's both. But that's what it is, Elisa. I was actually, I got to see a gorgeous short film about Alok. They were talking about how one of their most important pronoun is we, because there is no disconnect.
Exactly.
There is no separation. When we think it's us versus them, baby, I promise you, it's you versus you. I remember the first time somebody said to me, when you say fuck you, you're also saying fuck me every time. Somewhere there's anger, there's pain, there's something in you that is having that reaction. At first I was like, fuck you. I was like, fuck you again. And then it was like, oh, this is my pain. My pain is not distinct from your pain. And wherever I am, finding myself, like, come on, of course I was enraged November 6th, right? Of course we have to be realistic about, this is real. Right. This is real for people. This is not some Pollyanna bullshit with my head in the sand. All of these threats are real. All of these systems that we know are trash, that's all real. And the love that we are going to have to muster. This is like when you have to search your couch cushions because you can't find no money. We are going to have to find love like we've never imagined. And I just want to say, if anyone is hearing this and thinking, yes, but there are literally, tens of thousands of people whose lives have been lost in, specific places and ways.
Right.
The horror of that is real and continues to be real. It is happening all over the planet. We do get to look at the hard truths in front of us while resourcing ourselves from a well of love that is an infinity pool that we all share.
Exactly.
That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do
exactly,
right now.
Because the thing I've had to say to myself over and over again, because of my sensitivity to the atrocities, because of my own trauma.
Yep.
I'm no good falling to pieces.
Right. That's right.
I'm no good if I'm disconnected from myself and from my actual power. If I'm just traumatized, triggered, identifying with every awful, sad thing, which is very difficult for me to not see. Yeah. And I know it is for you. Yeah. There's nothing positive coming out of that. And I can't be in my most powerful self. One of the reasons we're in this most critical moment of seeing the darkest sides, the shadow, why are we looking at the shadow, the deepest, darkest shadows? Because it's just a reflection of our own looking at our own shadows. Like when you look at your own shadow, then you heal.
Yes. And I love that you said that. So America Who Hurt You is a podcast that came to me. At first it was like, girl, who hurt you? America, it was like funny. And then it was like, oh, our trauma is driving our politics. There is no Trump without trauma. He himself, as a little boy, was, raised by a de facto Nazi who screamed loser at him. And guess what? It's not a mystery that 70 years later, he's screaming loser at, his enemies. Like, this is easy math, right? Easy. This is trauma.
Yeah, it's easy to hate. It's easy to hate.
Well, if you grow
Yeah.
up in trauma, right? It's simple stuff. Hurt people hurt people. Then you
Right.
take that to a scale where, like Elon Musk, from what I understand, fucked up childhood. If you're trying to
Right.
compensate for that, you will literally go to Mars trying to prove that you deserve love. I know from my personal experience that my love needs were not met. I'm suffering from a love deficit as a child. That's not my parents' fault. They had a love deficit as a child. America gives you a
Exactly.
love deficit. You get, with your birth certificate or your social security card, you get that love deficit of this place that says to you, this is the American dream. Anyone can have it. Bullshit. We know that if you're a woman, if you're queer, if you're black, if you're, like of color, if you're an immigrant, if you're in the disability community, this country has sold a bill of goods to all of us since it, was founded on the genocide of Native people and the enslavement of African people. So to me, it's very clear when people are like, what went wrong? And why does our country look like this? And oh my God, the election. And she lost because of that. I'm like, babe, if you're trying to, do the Monday morning quarterbacking of like what happened, you got to go back before 2020 or even 2016. You got to go back to like 1619. You got to go back to like, where did all of our ancestral trauma first get the ball rolling?
Well, we have to stop lying to ourselves.
Yes, that's first.
And that's what we're being forced into, is that we have a choice to understand how powerful we are, or to continue feeling disempowered and worthless.
That
You
part.
can either we have a moment now where we can say how we live every minute of our lives, how we treat each other, like Alok talks about, the understanding that we are completely connected and one bioorganic organism, and that your thoughts have an effect.
Yes. I can't remember who said this, but this idea, all minds are joined. What? Like, if you think about that, and that's not saying you can't, have free thought, but the idea of like, when I remember that all minds are joined, it really does help me get back to like, when was the first time I thought shitty things about other people, or I felt jealous, or I felt, like I'm not enough, or they're not enough, or blah, blah. And usually for me, that kind of thinking was installed when I was so little. It was like scarcity mindset. I'm not enough. I'm not okay. I'm not allowed, that feeling. And then that mind is joined with all the other minds that unfortunately are programmed that way in a society like this. So anyway, yes, absolutely.
Right. So your own ability to have the strength and the bravery to look at your shadow and your darkness inside of you, and to correct that, and to stop blaming and to stop shaming, the choices that you have tremendous power. And the collective consciousness of that, all minds are joined, the collective consciousness of that ultimately will stop war.
I mean, like that.
There is the outside things. Of course, you don't sit back, believe me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out there in the streets with you. Like, I'm going to be there. But at the same time, is the first time that we're understanding, I think, and awakening to that power. I listen a lot to this woman, Caroline Myss, and she says, we're in the greatest transformation of all of human history right now. And it's actually the greatest time to be alive. And we are all participating in it and here for a reason. Like, it's not accidental that I'm with you here now. It's not accidental that our souls are programmed to be here in this moment. And what happened to us, that's the place that I've come to in my life. It's taken me my whole life to come to this place where I'm grateful for all of the trauma I've gone through, for the pain that I've gone through, because it's made me who I am. It's made me so sensitive and so loving. I've had to find the love. When you say put up the cushions, like, because there was no one there at the very beginning, I've had to go, and I found it. We're in this transformation of thinking away from the love of power and to the understanding of the power of love, because there's been so much progress.
Yes.
Because there's been so much progress. It's like a tsunami. It is unstoppable. It will not stop. It will not stop.
Right.
Like, people are not going to choose to hate themselves. We're not going back. Like, that's not happening. And because that force is so enormous, it's all out there, the veil is off. That group of people that you talked about, or that Sonia was talking about, they're so far from love. They feel so nothing about themselves. They're so empty inside that they only can feel good by taking power.
That's right.
They think you take it,
That's
and then they're above you.
Right.
But you cannot take someone's power.
No, you can't.
And that we're all born with the equal amount.
Right. Right. And we all have that power and we're all born with it equally. It's so true, even at the same time as we know that in this world, right, there are certain realities in
Yes, of
terms of
course.
who is contained in different ways and oppressed in different ways, marginalized. So it's that wild holding both. People always use the example of
Yeah.
Mandela, and I think it's a good one. The idea that this person sat in a jail cell for 27 years and the entire time was in a certain key, existential way, more powerful than the entire government that was holding him there,
Right.
right? It's both and, absolutely.
Exactly. Of course, it's not, I say all that just to say that we then have to correct.
Right. The systems.
They have to completely disintegrate. Like they are disintegrating.
Yes. This is a girl bye moment. Bye. We need to
That
go
is the
bye.
polar,
It
what's
is.
happening. It's disintegrating. So I just want to backtrack a second to like, tell me about what you're wearing in your look, whatever your moment.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to start with this bracelet, which was made by someone I love who I lost early in my life. And I love this piece so much because it feels like multiple colors and energies. And she made it with freaking safety pins. Like
Oh my God, amazing.
people are always
Wow.
like, oh my God, is that like, they'll give me some designer's name. And I want to be like, I think these are literally safety pins from like CVS. Like you know what I mean? And that
Yes.
is a reminder of the power of the beauty of, and I'm just also going to my hands here because my friend Rebecca Nadler, shout out to Rebecca Nadler Designs, woman-owned small business. She makes all this badass brass jewelry. And I always feel like, yes, this is how I can have my glam and my power. And I'm going to out the fact that these are clitorises. Hi. Anyone who watches this now, when I'm sitting in a meeting, I'll be sitting in a meeting with some entertainment executive or something, and I'm just holding on to that part of my power. Like, remember pleasure,
course.
remember.
And they look like flowers.
They look like flowers because we are,
Because
hi.
clitorises look like flowers because everything's repeated everywhere because there is a intelligence.
There's your Dahlia again. She's contracting. She's expanding.
Yeah. Have you always felt so free in your style and expressing yourself?
It's funny that you say that or ask that. So apparently when I was little, my mom would pick out an outfit and I'll be like, no. I'd be like, these shoes, no. I was very opinionated about my style as a very small person. And then we moved to New York when I was 10 or 11. And the New York orientation, hip hop, like a certain style mixed with, I went to the UN school. And so literally some kids came to school in their national dress. Like, girls would wear churidar, like, pants for South Asian, like cute little matching sets of stuff. And I would just be like, my mind was blown by how people were dressing all the time. And French girls, they would be like, oh, this is Agnès B. And I was like, who's Agnès B? I was like, what's going on? So I got introduced to fashion as a young kid. I had that weird moment. I'm very tall. And I was walking down the street. And in the 90s, somebody would stop you on the street and be like, do you want a model? And I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh my God, clothes, like everywhere, like designers and, And then the body image stuff came and ruined it all for me because I was like, I have to weigh what? I have to lose how much weight? I was like, I don't think this is going to work out for me. I like pizza.
Right. What was a thing in your past, something that you rejected about yourself, and once you embraced it, it became a power?
I mean, first of all, how much time do we have? I'm kidding, but there were so many things. So my mom has white privilege. She's actually mixed, but she's just completely white appearing. And so growing up, the image of her was the ideal that I saw all around me anyway in media. I'm old enough that it was like a big deal to see Tyra Banks and, some of these girls on magazines. I idealized straight hair, light skin. I was told I looked more professional with straight hair, all of that kind of stuff. And so this having a big floating, I now think of my hair as like a sort of symbolic of what's going on inside my head. It's the outgrowth of all the like, woo, there's like spirals of ideas in here and lots of
And
squints.
stepping into yourself,
spreading out all the things that were keeping me small. So again, colorism, real bad. I had it real bad. And I got that messaging professionally. Don't get too dark. Like it's bad. And I know there are other people who can relate to this stuff.
Can you explain in detail, like give me a moment and like a little bit of your journey towards dealing with it?
I had a manager at one point who, pretty much outright said, oh, you look great, and you're heading off on vacation. Don't get too dark. You just want to stay in the range of your natural color. And I was like, I don't know if that's what you really mean by that. I think you really mean don't get too dark. And if I'm trying to be cast as the love interest, there's a large problem with lighter skinned Black women, being privileged over darker brown skin. I mean, that's just a thing. It's still a thing, but it was really back then. And what I realized, I ended up writing my own stuff. I was like, I can't wait for people to cast me or decide that I'm too dark or I'm too curly or I'm too tall or whatever. I'm going to make my own work. I'm going to play anybody I want. I'm going to play a Jewish bubby if I want to. Nobody else is going to cast me, but I can cast myself. So that's what I did. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad. Yeah, I started, I let my own characters come out in part because out of necessity. So I think that's a pivot that, what I thought was something that would hem me in or hold me back. And don't get me wrong, it's still a struggle. There are times now where I'll be swimming and I'll just a fleeting moment of I would be prettier if, and it's just so sad because when I see other people with beautiful brown skin, I don't think to myself, oh, poor you. There's something about that internalized sense of unworthiness that I took on and that I have to, still every once in a while I have to work against that internalized colorism. Yeah.
And would you say that's been like sort of your like like a fundamental struggle, like what, or is there another?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say that's one of the. There's like a top 5, like
right.
Body image in terms of weight, shape, and weight. So I was conventionally, considered a normal size or thin or whatever, but I have an African butt. At the time, this was not Kim Kardashian and everybody wanting Skims and everybody wanting a BBL. This was, you don't have a European enough, AKA small, butt. And I've talked to other women, Black and brown women who, and maybe even, white women with a curvier shape in ballet class. They'd be like, oh, we're failing you because of your butt, like you're not tucking. It's like, it's untuckable. This is the ass I have. So think that body image stuff, like worrying about, being not being rail thin. And I got so skinny, Elisa. Like I had eating disorder issues and all of that stuff. And
when was that?
This was, I was over exercising, and I was bulimic. I was all that stuff. Probably, I'm trying to think. You know what? I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I started dieting probably in junior high. And here's the thing, and I hope if people hear nothing else, it's all made up. When I was in an all Black context in my public school in DC as a little kid, I wanted to be bigger so badly. Other girls were curvier and I was skinny, and I just felt so unlovable. It was more of like, I like a thick girl. And I would pray. I'm not even religious. I'd be like, I just want a butt and hips. I want to be curvy, and then I moved to New York and it flipped. I was like, oh, this European aesthetic is what we're doing at this school. I want to lose weight. And I started eating less and restricting my food, all that stuff. But that's the thing, right? Literally I move 400 miles or whatever it is up the Eastern Seaboard, and it goes from I'm less than because of this problem to same problem, but now I'm less than because I'm on the opposite, end of the spectrum. None of it's real. It's an inside job. It's an inside job. It has nothing to do with my outsides. Even though my mind will tell me that it's, still about staying I still struggle. I shouldn't have, you know, keto, keto.
Right. Maybe this will do it. Maybe this will make me.
Yes,
Maybe
right,
this.
right,
Oh, that one has the answer.
right.
That's my savior. That's going to make it all click. That's going to make my life happy.
That's it. And this is the thing. The magic pill is love. And it's not just that it's love. It is your own love. I love this expression I heard somewhere that your soul is like a well. It just needs to be filled. It doesn't care where the water comes from. This society is the one that tells you it needs to be this guy, it needs to be this woman, it needs to be this job, it needs to be these accolades, these awards. My God, I live in a town where I can half the time I can't drive on Sunset because of all the billboards. I'm like, my friend won this, and I'm happy for them. But that feeling of I would be more if I had done this and this and this. And the thing is, that's me chasing you with a ladle, trying to get a drop of water out of your well to come back to my well that's parched because I don't fill it myself. You can fill your own well all day, every day, no matter your ability, your race, your age, your economic status. You can wake up in the morning, put your hand on your heart and say, I love you. I'm right here. I'm what we're looking for. I make sense. We are lovable exactly as we are. I promise you. You have always been lovable, and you always will be. If you wake up in the morning and say that to yourself, practice it until it gets less cringe, if it's cringe for you. I literally remember a love coach at one point. I was going through a breakup, and she was like, what do you want this guy to text you? Text it to yourself. Text exactly the words you wish he would say. I sent myself that text, and Elisa, I swear to God, it was pretty fucking good. I was like, that almost felt as good as if he sent it. Send yourself the love text. Give yourself the award. Put your own self on your most whatever of the year list. I promise you it makes a difference. And not only that, I've won awards. No amount of those other people's awards has ever helped. It does not help me fill the well that actually needs to be filled by my own love primarily. You can have other stuff come into your well, and you will, right? More of that water will be automatically attracted to your overflowing well, and you'll then be able to overflow onto others. But you have to fill it yourself.
Right. It's like, that's literally what magnetism is, I think. And that's what I mean by heart open. Because when I picture heart open, I can feel the life force.
Yes.
Like I can feel that everything is there that you need.
Yes.
It's all there. And that life force just wants to express itself through you. That's its job.
She's begging you. I want to jump in on that. She is begging me all day. She's like, please get off your phone and pay attention to me. I'm right here. I'm the prize. The likes are not going to do it. You got loves right here. You don't need likes when you got these loves. And I've been doing this practice of self-reparenting. That's not shade to my parents. It's just that none of us, I haven't encountered a person yet who hasn't experienced, whether it's the trauma, like we were saying, of being born, or the trauma, the micro traumas of just daily living in a country where you're like, I can't believe my tax dollars go to this or to this, or the trauma of having lived through the pandemic. There's so many traumas. Even if people can't identify like a childhood trauma, or they're like, I had a perfect family, that's fine. I promise you, just living in an age like this, because we are all connected, you're experiencing pain and at least micro traumas and micro grief that we're numbing with like, it's gummy o'clock. I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? We're like, and that's fine. But to understand part of the reason we need so much distraction and so much kind of, we're being like wired. Our brains are getting rewired by social media right now. And I'm thinking about this a lot. I really believe in, I don't know how many years, cigarettes were once how people took a deep breath. It was like,
Right.
And they were so addictive and such a huge juggernaut in the world in terms of everybody smoked. Yeah, people don't realize. I remember when there were ashtrays on planes. Eventually, the companies could no longer pretend that they weren't giving people cancer, like killing millions of people. But they hid it for a long time. They were so powerful that nobody could step up and say, this is killing your customers. This is killing our society. And eventually, when you could not deny it anymore, they were forced to admit that this product is harmful. I'm not saying that social media doesn't have some benefits. I'm saying in the way that it is being utilized, it is harming all the generations who are using it in different ways. And I don't know how to get off it myself. It's how I connect with you. But I believe that that's a huge piece of what we're seeing in terms of people's loneliness, self-alienation, otherization, polarizing. This election was bought by Elon Musk. Like, period. I will, 10 toes down. I will say that to anybody who asks me. I'm very clear that he bought a machine that helped spread a particular kind of polarization and the perfect storm of like, I'm also going to give you $1 million if you vote for me. Like, literally, it was purchased, right? And that social media machine, can we harness it for love, like Style Like You? Right? Can we do this with it? I connect with people about America who hurt you through my audience on IG and everywhere. And I'm clear, when I'm scrolling on there for an hour, that is an hour that I did not spend with this magnificent soul right here. I think loving that, right? When I have FOMO, I love up on my FOMO. I'm like, oh, you feel like we should have been there. We should have been at that thing or that party, or we should have gotten that part or whatever. I get that. When's the first time we ever remember feeling like we didn't get our needs met or like we weren't seen or we weren't taken care of? Usually the answer is 3, 5,
right.
And then I tend to that little one inside, flood her with love, and my day changes. And then I can reach out and ask somebody else, how are you doing? Instead of worrying about, I'm not okay. Right.
Exactly. Right. It's like whatever pain you're feeling from whatever is happening in the world, like jealousy, envy, scarcity. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm too old, young, all that shit. Like all that's doing is showing you what you're carrying. What I've learned in the last year that has been the most healing thing is to feel the feeling and not run from it and not be afraid of it and not be defensed against it.
Yes.
Like I'm too cool for school and I'm angry at everything, or just feel whatever it's bringing up and then let it go. Like relax your body.
You just made me have a deep breath just then. Hearing you, I was like,
and then you let the life force, holds you all together, the glue that holds us all together, just pushes it the fuck out. Yes. Because its job is for you to be whole. Its job is for you to be happy. And as we've said, like all things come from that place. And I think that then you're able to really help. Then you're really able, then you find what is it inside of you? What is the creative force? It's such a miracle to be alive. It's such a miracle to be here. Like you're here in this body. What is it here for? And like, you're not going to know that by wishing to be someone else.
There's some statistic, I can't remember the exact number, but the likelihood of our coming into existence is like 0. It's like a miracle. That sounds so cliche or woo-woo. Truly, the likelihood that the sperm would meet the eggs, all of that. The chances that you would not come into existence are so huge. I would think about that sometimes on the train and look at all the people on the train and cry. And I mention that because if we all really did that, we couldn't treat this planet like this. We couldn't treat ourselves like this. We couldn't divide up into factions. We couldn't do that because we would look around and be like, oh my God, you're here. I'm here. We would just hug every person we saw. And again, a society like that is not going to buy a lot of shit. They're not going to need to buy a ton of shit that they
don't have control over us.
That's the thing.
When we feel that.
When you feel love, connection, and belonging on that level. I remember during the pandemic, the early days of the pandemic, being able to have so much more time with myself. I wasn't on the road. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't, performing in all of this. And suddenly that well of time being with me, I didn't buy shit. I didn't need anything. And that's not just because I literally wasn't going anywhere or going to parties or whatever. I just didn't feel the FOMO. I did not feel that. And frankly, my phone now, it's like I'm already feeling, off because the society's crazy. So I'm already feeling like, Then social media is flooding me, compare and despair with other people's curated feeds. And then sell me shit when I'm beaten down and you've made me feel, like, oh, I can't. Those platforms are designed by people called attention engineer. When I heard that was a career, I was like, that's just a drug dealer. And they really do. They use the same principles as Las Vegas casinos for addiction. How do they get you to keep pulling that slot machine lever? Do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? And it's a system of dopamine hits in your brain, but also when you crash, right? It's using not just that little like that lights up your brain, but it's also dropping your, it's getting you to be in an adrenalized state of I'm not enough. It's a tough thing because, again, for some people it is connection, and I'm not saying everyone's like me. And we deserve time with us. I promise you, this next 4 years will be a game changer for you if you think of yourself as the president of the country of which you are a true citizen, which is you. You are the president of the United States of you. Wake up in the morning and love on yourself in a way that you never have before. And I'm not saying the policies won't be trash in this country and it won't be horrifying, but I'm saying your well of love, that resource that is infinite and that you can keep refilling all day for free as long as you pay attention to it. It includes things like go for a walk, go outside, take care of yourself. Like, you know what I mean? We hear the self-care language and it starts to sound like, just word salad because we're talking about it all the time, but it's real. Get a freaking coloring book and go, do what you loved when you were a child. Do what you wish you could have done when you were a child. Wherever you can, just try to stop sneaking in self-care and love and make that shit your job. Make it your job to fall in love with yourself in a way that you would profess your love for the soulmate you've been looking for all your life. I love you. You're amazing. You make sense. I have unconditional love for you. All of that. Because I'll say this too, Elisa. Part of what can go on is my pursuit of love can feel like I'm doing it wrong, right? Even my I'm trying to do self-care, but I didn't meditate and I didn't do enough yoga. I went to In-N-Out instead of drinking my freaking smoothie. Whatever you're doing is enough. And I know that's sad. There's some people that's not true. That's just not true. I laid on the couch all day. I promise you, you needed to lie on the couch. So say to yourself, wow, I must have really needed that. I love myself. I'm doing the fucking best I can. And then if you can't get off the couch for a few days, ask for help. That is also self-love. Noticing when I'm people pleasing and instead of being oh my God, I'm people pleasing. I'm going to beat myself up. What's wrong with me? Why am I not better after all these? No. I'm people pleasing. Of course I am. I make sense. I'm going to do the best I can to be really compassionate with myself about this. And I'm going to ask for some help around it. I'm going to work on it. This just gets to be unconditional. And, as to keep bringing Sonia in, as she would say, radical self-love, radical, unconditional, implausible. I'm going to add that word because it does sound implausible. How are you going to walk around all day telling yourself you love yourself? Well, I remember somebody saying to me about affirmations. I was like, that's weird. I'm not going to do that. He was like, well, you're already saying affirmations every day. You're saying, I affirm that I'm not enough. I affirm that I should have done this by now. I affirm that I need to lose 10 pounds. You're affirming ideas that are self-harming or distracting or feeding you into the hands of a capitalist white supremacist system that was never designed for you to flourish. So start saying affirmations that will actually support you and it will change your life. And I did it for 30 days and I never stopped. I still do it.
It's the greatest act of resistance.
Yes.
Because ultimately that intelligence is unconditional. It doesn't clap harder for one or the other, even though one or the other might be getting the award and the other isn't getting it. It doesn't care.
That's right. That's right. And I'm thinking about it in terms of for these next 4 years, because there are people who are terrified with good reason. I get it. And I guess if there's a way to remember that the love piece, my party is love. I'm clear who I voted for and I knew that there was a choice and they were different. And I'm very clear that this entire system is so far from love, it can't even see itself. We still have the Electoral College that's based on slavery. This shit is broken, right? For this next 4 years, I am a registered Love Party member. I am, and there are other wonderful, Valerie Kaur did this Revolutionary Love tour. I'm just thinking about all these people I'm fortunate to be in close proximity to I am surrounded by the kinds of friends and colleagues who are pouring love into me. and I am pouring my love out into them every day. That's our work, y'all. I'm not delusional. This is a crazy time, and it's not easy to say to people, just lead with love and you'll be fine. They're like, bitch, I got bills. I got, my insurance ran out. I have no this. I can't pay for my groceries. I can't pay for childcare. Like, that's all very real too. And I'm telling you that surrounding yourself with loving people, and this is hard to say, I'm estranged from significant portions of my family over various things. And that has been hard. And even that was a choice where I said, I don't feel loved. It's not their fault, but I am experiencing a love deficit that I grew up with from the same folks who were there, right? My job is not to change them. My job is to love them from whatever distance. I think Prentice Hempel has this great quote, boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me at the same time. And they have many other brilliant ideas, but that quote went viral. And, that's so true for me. And this society doesn't make it easy, around holiday times or my birthday or whatever. I still feel that pull to call or to text or to whatever. And I know that their highest version of themselves would want me to take care of me, whatever that takes. And that's a hard one. That's a real hard one. But I think it's a lesson for the country as well. It's a lesson for the country as well. I don't have to hate you. I just have to maintain the boundaries that allow me to love me safely while loving you at whatever distance I need to.
I mean, I've had a similar experience too. I've had a similar experience, and I've had to make those similar boundaries, and putting yourself first is the greatest act of self-love. And it's not
amazing.
A selfish act.
No.
It's a self-full act. And it's something that will then enable you to, lift others.
That's right. And your family, this is what I find, it's been a difficult time. And so I've lost a lot of relationships over politics, over a lot of things. Other people automatically come find me who are aligned and who are my chosen family, who are available to, again, pour more love than I could ever imagine. DNA alone, right, is not what makes us family. And I like that idea for me, there's no separating where America is right now and where we all are as individuals and as family units and as communities. Like, you can track how this country grinds people down, separates people, persecutes certain people, marginalizes them. You can track that impact on families and individuals, and how how we're not able to thrive, and how we end up with love deficits and love avoidance and attachment issues. It's like, of course you can't attach at home because you can't attach at work because it's not safe here.
If you're being conditionally loving is a form of violence, whether it's family to a person and not accepting them for who they are,
right,
or it's the society saying you're nothing if above a certain age, or you're nothing because of the color of your skin, or you're nothing because of the size of your body, all of it is an act of violence and goes against what would create us to thrive as individuals and then the society to thrive. So the micro is the macro. I know that we've been through similar things in the last year or so, have brought a lot of things to a head that were wrong and that weren't right all along. That's why self-love, the act of self-love, is not trivial. It's not a bubble bath.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
It's actually stepping in to who you actually truly are, and taking the time and the step back away from what everyone else is telling you should be. The tendency to, like, the sheep mentality, the conformity, wearing the same thing, feeling the same way, all on the same bandwagon with the same thoughts. And I think stepping away from that, and who are you exactly, and what are you doing here? And then when that aligns, all else aligns.
You just brought tears.
All else aligns. Yep. And it's a very, very brave act.
Yeah.
And also to allow yourself to make mistakes, be messy.
Yep.
And that's all not what you're taught on social media. No box, no machine, nothing is as brilliant and is as genius as what wants to come through you.
That's right. Every person
Every
is born with
person.
that. Every person is born with that. And not only that, and this, this goes back to like an old Marianne Williamson quote that we used to get misattributed to Mandela all the time. But we are all, I used to know this by heart. Now I can't. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. I'm paraphrasing. Your playing small does not serve the world. We are all meant to shine as children do. And this is the part I'm trying to get to. It took me forever. As we shine, we unconsciously give other people, or maybe consciously, give other people permission to do the same. So that part, that's the part I'm trying to get to, that when you, let me tell you, parts of me have had to die, Elisa. It has felt like I have lost.
I understand.
Right? And some of this stuff relates to like my loss of, work and loss of relationships of people who I was the closest to in my life.
What is the biggest thing that had to die?
My illusions about other people needing to be and think like me, and that those relationships have to last forever. Some relationships are not going to last the way I thought they would. It's a really wild feeling to be like, sometimes I'm not going to line up with the people I thought were my people. Or in the case of this country, the way I'm thinking of it is like, I thought America was, we had after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and uprisings, I thought we understood the assignment. And America doubled down. Literally, people saying stuff like, well, we tried equity, it didn't work. Bye. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that feeling of, I thought I knew you. I thought, we were this. That has to die. I have to let that go. I have to grieve that. Like that relationship, I have to sit Shiva for it, or whatever traditions people have. I have to sit and let go and grieve.
Feel the feelings and let go.
What do they say? Feel, deal, and heal. If you don't feel it, it's waiting for you when you get there. I think it's Pema Chodron said something like that, our addictions or our distractions, they're babysitters. The kid's still going to be there. You can think that you're
stuffed
avoiding
it down.
You've stuffed it down, but it's waiting for you.
And that's exactly what we're being confronted with right now. Like the author of The Untethered Soul.
Michael Singer, honey.
The amount of freedom.
Yes.
That you want to have in yourself. And then obviously the more people that do that, the more it's the society.
Yes.
Is the amount of pain you need to go through.
That's it. That's the math.
It really helps me a lot. Like,
yes.
Because it is so painful.
It's so painful. And can I just, I want to honor, Elisa, that we've both been through like a painful, painful time and experience. And you helped me so much. You helped me so much by sharing it, reminding me I'm not alone. And that's the other wild thing about pain that actually I was talking about, that when you go through it in community, like beloved community, people, even if you can't be there to hug each other in person, you can validate, like, I see you, I hear you. I'm so sorry you're going through that. These are the words of validation that most of us didn't get. When I was a little kid, my parents were like, what do you have to complain about? We pay your tuition. They were busy doing what they had been taught to do. So just hearing, I'm sorry you're in pain. We can get through this together. I've been there. I'll hold you through this. I'll be here with you. I'm here for you. That will get us through not just this next 4 years, but the rest of our lives as people who are processing a lot. And I do think it's a mirror that, that's why I love getting to have conversations like this with you and with people on my podcast. There is no conversation about politics without the personal, without talking about your own individual journey. How, when I get out there and, support Planned Parenthood or whatever it is, that being on the picket line is not separate from whatever other senses of injustice and the ways that I've needed to stand up for myself as an individual. Those are connected. And if we don't do our work and learn why we are the ways we are, really, like, you have to look in a mirror. There ain't no Zoom improve your appearance filter. You're going to have to look at all of it. And when we really look at it, we're beautiful. Whatever it is that we think is imperfect about us made us, like you said. You wouldn't be you without all of it. And instead of filtering it away and then wondering why we end up with, like authoritarians running our government. We get to stop with the filters, tell the truth about who we are, why we are the way we are, forgive ourselves, forgive others, and then take that into our fight for a better government.
1,000%. When was the last time you cried?
This morning, I cry on the daily. It is the most, for people who are like me with a sensitive constitution and like you, I feel everything. In the morning, I felt this tender spot in me. There's a project I'm working on. I'm not sure what's going to happen with it. And, we're in a new moment where literally people are like, we need more conservative content on TV.
Right.
I'm like, are you for real? Like,
I know. I've been stressing about that too.
I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not entitled for people to put my work on TV and in movie theaters. I felt sad and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with this. It might be fine, but I'm feeling anxious. And I put my hand on my heart and said, when's the first time we remember feeling like this kind of disappointment or like we're scared we're not going to, be able to do something beautiful that we thought we would be able to make, or we want to do something that feels loving and it feels like something's blocking it. When's the first time? 8 years old, 5 years old. And then I spent a little time tending to that part and said, I'm so sorry you're hurting, honey. I know that hurts, but you know what? I'm the grown up today. It's all right that you had that pain back then, and I'm sorry that you feel like you have to have the world on your shoulders still after all these years. You can relax now. I'll take care of everything. You can go play with a pony. I literally do these kinds of visualizations where I let those younger, wounded parts of myself go have a skating part, whatever I didn't get to do when I was little. I let them just go have a fantastic time so that I, the adult me in the present, can come back online.
Yeah, it's not running the show.
Exactly.
It's not running the show. When do you feel the most beautiful?
I feel really beautiful right now talking to you. Like when I plug into that internal power that we share and I'm looking up at another person who gets it, it's so delicious. So if I were, and it can happen in different ways. I'm not going to lie. My last person who was, my romantic partner that I was really serious about, that person, the way he looked at me, I was like, wow, I must be really beautiful. This is ridiculous. And then I learned I can do that with myself. So there are times when if I do that deep inner healing work and then I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, I just think it's not what I look like, right? It's more like, wow, look at us. We're still here. We made it. I'm like a piece of art, or like an artifact that somebody has dug up from decades ago that like, wow, we made it. We're still here. We're still beautiful.
You are a piece of art. Everyone is, it's all the twists and turns. When do you feel the most vulnerable?
I mean, multiple times a day. I will say like fear around career stuff at this time in my life. Like I went through a long period of like just believing that it would always be the kind of world where the kinds of stories I want to tell, I'll be able to find a place to do it. And now I feel very vulnerable creatively in a certain way because I've only known how to work in a certain marketplace. But I have this belief that people are going to want to gather IRL more. And I'm thinking I want to tour and perform and, have amazing guests like I have on the podcast. This time bring Jane Fonda up on stage instead of like in a studio. Bring friends and like have a juicy, loving, like vulnerable conversation where we show the fuck up for each other and we're present. I'm not just looking at your eyes through a screen and some pixels.
Yes.
I really think that's it. And I feel vulnerable because I haven't had to do that in a long time, but I think that's next. And so I feel that vulnerability of like, it's the unknown, Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Be comfortable with the uncomfortable is the only way that things change. Right?
It's the only way.
Oh my God. It's the only way.
It's the only way.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I feel like I'm doing a lot of that kind of thinking with StyleLikeU too. Like just, we used to do What's Underneath open calls before the lockdown. And they were just amazing. Like they're just so beautiful.
You have to do that again.
And then I've had this idea too that You could take it even further where it's in small theaters and you don't know who the star of the show is going to be.
I think that's genius. I think
and
you
like
have to do that.
and that your healer is in front of you, next to you, in back of you, all around you, and you are all stars. Everyone's a star, and that everyone's mythological. That's been my experience of interviewing, like at this point, like 1,200 or 1,300 people. I don't even know, but like my experience has been that everyone's mythological.
They're the hero, and I think again, it's not heroism like we're taught in this society out here. It's like this other miraculous,
True to yourself.
But that's heroic.
The bravery to be yourself has so much power.
That's right.
It is infinite.
Yes, and it's contagious. It's benevolent contagion. When you do that, other people will. I feel it.
Totally. And the last question is, what would you tell your younger self that you should never change about yourself?
That I'm too much. Too much personality, too big, too much hair, too tall, too loud, too many personalities. There's like 32 of them in here, I would say.
That's right, there's 32 of us.
And we're all from different places and we all sound different ways and we do what we want. I'd say we belong exactly as we are. And we're here to set ourselves and other people free. So you got to be big to do that.
Exactly.